Well, you know, I don't think it's that polite to have my hat on when I'm in the presence of ladies. There's probably some ladies out there watching this. Emily Post might complain, but you know, it's cold down here in the barn. It's so tempting to go out in the sun because it's shining out there, but anyway, so be it. This is my 46-day first video, and I'm separating my class now into the teaching of traditional grammar, first video, second video, chronological survey. All right, you know, I watched my other videos, the most recent ones, and I said about how I'm excited to teach traditional grammar. I am. I don't know if that actually shows because I actually talked more slowly yesterday, but I am. And I think one of the reasons for that is, it's not up on the board here, but one of the reasons for that is because I haven't taught it in quite a long time. My course, Frank's Hum 100, Frank's Humanities 100, I had said in the very first video that I've taught this maybe 120 some times for over 25 years, 6 times a day. But not the grammar part. What happened, and at some point I needed to tell you this, so I'll tell it to you now. What happened was I used to be teaching opposite teachers, first a man and then a woman, who really still loved traditional grammar, and they taught it and they loved to teach it. It's easy to teach, I don't blame them. So I didn't teach it, although I had once or twice at the beginning. I'll tell you more about that too. But there was a span of, maybe 20 years, 15, 20 years that I didn't teach it. But then when the woman retired, there was a period of time where the person who replaced the other teacher didn't teach it anymore, and kids weren't learning it. And I went to my principal at the time, and I actually got his permission to teach it because I thought it was a problem. The teacher of foreign languages at the high school of French and Latin that was getting the students was frustrated because the kids didn't know their grammar. And so last year I taught it again, and it was fun. And now I'm going to be making mistakes because of that, because it's been a long time since I've taught it. But it's one of the reasons that it's exciting for me. It's been a while, and you will see that I'm making mistakes. There's more to say. I'm probably making a mistake right now. Anyway, another thing I wanted to tell you that is in my teaching of grammar, traditional grammar, I'm working on a skill, not knowledge. It's different. And your approach to it would be different too. I mean, with knowledge, if you know the story of Noah's Ark, but you don't know the story of the Tower of Babel, oh well, a little bit of your knowledge maybe is missing. But with the skill, you really have to have those skills. It builds. And the skill, ultimately, that I'm working on is not so much your ability to analyze and understand English grammar. That's fun. It's a skill, and it's valuable. But to be able to speak a foreign language, study and then master a foreign language. Now that's a skill. That takes practice. That takes doing. And this is my way of starting the whole process. I'm going on, I guess, a little at length about this, but I need to at some point. I had said that I intend to follow up with, I may well spin off a class on German. I'd like to teach German, but if I do so, I would want the students to know this stuff. All right, well, anyway, I'm going to give you a test on Friday of this week. That'd be in like 2 days. This is Wednesday. And that test is going to be to see, you know, of course you can cheat if you want or use your notes or whatever, it doesn't matter, but if you're driving yourself, you won't do that. And the test will be, I'll ask you to define the 8 parts of speech, just like I used to do in public school. I'll define them, you tell me what they are, I'll ask you this parts of speech, and you then define them for me, and then I'll ask you, what are the tests for the 8 parts of speech? What is the test for a verb? And you should be able to say, does it change with time? Does it work? In today I blank, yesterday I blank, I have blank. Now that'll take some preparation. Just watching my videos is not going to do it, I don't think. You'll actually have to study. But you need to if you're going to get the skill. I appreciate anybody who's watching these videos. That's fine. I hope you learn something. I hope you enjoy it. But I will continue to work pretty aggressively on the skill of mastering a language, and especially foreign language. All right, well, I'm moving into this slowly. I'm watching the clock a little bit. I don't know if I have time for this or not. I'm going to try. I want to open Latin. In your notes, the 14th section, the first page, Latin. And this is going to be awkward. It's awkward. I've got mistakes here. I actually talked to the Latin teacher, or emailed the Latin teacher in the school where I taught, and he's going to help me some, a man whom I profoundly respect. He may be a little bit distraught when he sees what I'm doing, but he knows my reason. All the way over the left, right down ad, odd, and that equals, it's a preposition, and it's a Latin word, and it means to or toward. Why I'm doing this is because an adjective has got odd in it, and something is being thrown towards something. There it is. I'll explain this more later on. I know I'm making mistakes here. Jacere, it could be a J maybe, jacere, and then jectus, there I went with the J. Sorry, Latin teacher, he probably doesn't like this. But anyway, this is the Latin verb to throw. To throw, and this would be thrown. And why I'm giving it two ways, ultimately I'll tell you, but I'm not ready to do that yet. You have to understand some grammar before I can tell you. Pro is also a preposition, and it means in place of. It's in a word like pronoun. Ad was in adverb as well as adjective. Con, as in the word conjunction. It's a Latin prefix which means together, and this one I almost can say I made this up. I think the Latin verb is junctare, and I think the past participle, I'll explain about these later, is junctus, maybe with an I. To join, and this would be join. So if a conjunction joins things together. Inter, that is a Latin prefix, a preposition, which has become in English a very common prefix, which means between. So interscholastic sports are in between schools. Well, an interjection is thrown between other things. Interjection. And then pray has become or pry, I don't know which way to pronounce it actually, but it's in preposition, and it means before, the pre, before. If you heat the oven, you heat it before you put something in it. It's very common, means, and I should probably put pre. Remember, I'm making mistakes here. This is not something I've done again and again and again. This is developing as I'm going. And the position of preposition comes from the Latin verb ponere. That would be down here, but I didn't have room. Ponere, which would be to put, and positus, I think would be right. It might end different ways. That means the past participle, put. Well, so here I'm working in Latin as a way to teach you traditional grammar. Well, yeah, that's the way I'm going about it, and I'm saying to myself, lay the groundwork right, because although I love to teach the subject and I want to throw myself into it, I don't want to run before we can walk. So I may not understand why I'm doing this, but hopefully, ultimately, you will. Okay, next video we'll be back to the chronological survey.